Hello, my name is Kate Kraus, and on behalf of the Office of the University Registrar, thank you for taking an interest in learning more about the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, also referred to as the acronym FERPA. While the University Registrar's office is charged with maintaining student academic records, it's valuable for all campus partners to know the federal policy and the university's interpretation. FERPA is a federal law and is also known as the Buckley Amendment, which was established in 1974. The Act protects the privacy of a student's education records. These rights apply to an eligible student who has reached 18 years of age, is currently attending, or has attended Case Western Reserve University. Student education records are considered confidential and may not be released without the written consent of a student. As a faculty or staff member, you have a responsibility to protect education records in your possession. Some information, called directory information, can be released without the student's written permission. However, the student may opt to consider this information confidential as well. Before releasing any directory information, you should consult with the University Registrar's office to determine whether the student has chosen to suppress their information to ensure any release is consistent with university policy. Faculty and staff members have access to this information because of their individual legitimate educational needs. If you're ever in doubt, the university recommends to err on the side of caution until you have further clarification. The following information is what Case Western Reserve University determines as directory information. Here are just a few examples, such as name, address, telephone listing, electronic mail, major field of study, and dates of attendance. To discuss the most current items that are considered directory information, please visit our website at www.case.edu/registrar. While directory information can be released without a student's written consent, it's always best to be cautious when releasing this information, especially if you're not sure if a student requested confidentiality. The university considers a student's right to privacy to be very important and doesn't routinely share directory information with third parties. It's important to note if a student requests confidentiality of directory information, it's all or nothing. In other words, not even a student's name will appear in the online directory. Students can manage their personal settings in the Student Information System to add or later release a FERPA restriction to their information. We'll now show a brief demonstration in SIS. Please visit the university's homepage at case.edu and click on SIS under the Quick Link section to log in. You can also find the SIS link at case.edu/registrar. After a student logs into their account, under Personal Information, the student will click on the drop-down menu and click Privacy Settings, and then click the Go arrow button. You can see that we are now on the FERPA restriction page, and that Gwen does not have any restrictions on her account. To add a restriction, click on Edit FERPA Directory Restriction. Checkmarks can be placed to suppress directory data from the online directory and restrict all data as well. Let's suppress from Case's online directory only, which prohibits a student's name and information from appearing in the university's directory information. However, you can also restrict all FERPA data, and here you'll notice that this automatically suppresses the online directory. Finally, click the green Save button and click OK. To make any changes, a student would need to go back into this section, click on the Edit FERPA Directory Restriction button, and make any necessary changes. Please note, all updates are time-stamped and captured below. Again, click Save and then OK. The definition of an education record under FERPA is broad. It essentially refers to any record that is related to a student and that is kept by the university or someone acting on behalf of the university from which an individual student or students can be personally identified. This can include files, documents, and materials in any medium, such as handwritten, tape, disc, film, microfilm, or microfiche. Written permission must be obtained from a student before releasing an education record, unless the request fits certain exceptions. When in doubt, assume that the item, if it relates to a student, is an education record and seek further assistance. Students, parents, spouses, and other parties often inquire about access to information and student rights. Subject to FERPA exclusions, students have the right to view their information that is maintained by the institution. Students have the right to seek an amendment to those records and, in certain cases, append a statement to the record. Students maintain the right to consent to disclosure of his or her records. And lastly, they have the right to file a complaint with the U.S. Department of Education. When a student reaches the age of 18 or begins attending a post-secondary institution, such as CASE, regardless of age, FERPA rights apply to the student. Parents, spouses, and others are not authorized to receive student academic information. However, at the discretion of the student, an authorized user account can be created for parents and others to gain access to a student's academic and/or financial information through the online student information system. We'll now demonstrate how to add an authorized user account in SIS. A student can add an authorized user account which grants secure access to an approved user. For an example, Gwen may want to add her parents to her SIS account so they can see her class schedule and financial information. She would log into SIS, click on Authorized Users, located under Personal Information, and then click Add New Users. Here you can see the entire guest setup. Gwen will need to create a username and password for her parents in the first section. Her parents will receive an email letting them know this account has been created. However, the student will need to share the password information directly. In the second section, she can determine what type of information will be viewable for her parents. The three options include access to the Student Center, which grants full access to academic and financial information, or she can select academics only, or just provide financial information. Lastly, the parent's email account will be added. In order to officially add a parent, the student must acknowledge they are consenting to the creation of this account by checking off the box and clicking Save. Protecting student rights and academic records is everyone's responsibility at CASE. Since the university receives federal funding from the Department of Education, it's important to ensure that we remain in compliance with federal and university policy. In closing, I want to share some helpful tips as good stewards of data. In regard to grades, do not display student scores or grades publicly in association with names, student ID numbers, even the last 4 digits of the Social Security number, or other personal identifiers. When returning papers or lab reports containing student names and grades in publicly accessible places, be sure to individually return these items. Students should not have access to the scores and grades of others in the class. As staff and faculty members, we are not permitted to share student education record information, including grades and grade point averages, with other faculty and staff members at the university, unless, however, there is a legitimate educational need. When communicating to parents or outside institutions, including letters of recommendation, do not share by phone or correspondence information from student education records without the written permission from the student. If you have a student worker in your office and they have access to sensitive student data, a best practice is to have them fill out a FERPA agreement form, which would be maintained by your office. We're always happy to assist with generating a document to meet your requirements if needed. The University Registrar's Office works closely with campus partners and the Office of General Counsel to enforce best practices at Case Western Reserve University. Please don't hesitate to contact our office directly for assistance or for additional training materials. Thank you.